Welcome to another episode of Life and Whiskey. As always, I'm Jordan, and for starters, hopefully my audio is getting better. I'm working on it, trying to do a better job. I think I got a couple things figured out, and so I'm using all free software and stuff to record all these videos, and I find that from time to time, I don't know what settings are changing or what's happening, but sometimes my audio is like spiking and peaking, and it's really fuzzy and whatever else. As a consequence of that, I was going through looking at all my videos and like the ones that I recently have recorded, and so I'm going to have to redo my Remus Repeal Reserve, the Lefroy Lore, and the Ardbeg versions, and so that's going to put me back a little bit here. But today, hopefully with better audio, and we'll check it out here in a minute when I'm done recording this. We're going to look at High West's Rendezvous Rye, which is a seasonal release, an annual release. It originally was a blend of whiskey that was not made by the Rendezvous or the High West Distillery over in Utah. And now I think it's a blend of other straight ryes along with distillate that they make themselves. Now, I'm looking at their website. Let me bring it up real quick here. And it says that it's a blend of whiskeys 4 to 9 years old, straight ryes. They're high rye mash bills. So in order to be rye whiskey, it needs to be at least 51% rye, and it needs to be aged in new white oak barrels or casks. And to be straight rye, it has to be at least 2 years. To be a non-age statement, an NAS needs to be at least 4 years. And, so those categories are kind of the same. And so a lot of mash bills out there, because rye tends to have that spicier flavor, tend to be lower rye percentages. So like 51 to 53%. According to them, I'd have to say that's probably true. A lot of people are not into or I shouldn't say not a lot of people. The spicy rye flavor set is not the dominating flavor profile out there right now. They tend to be the sweeter ones. MGP makes a lot of the varieties out there. So like if you're familiar with Bullet or Minor Case, those ryes are MGP distillate. And so the higher ryes, for example, here, according to High West's webpage, it says the MGP whiskey that is in here is 95% rye, 5% malted barley. And then High West distillate that is in here is 80% rye, 20% malted rye. So instead of using malted barley, they're using malted rye. So essentially, their distillate's 100% rye. It's just a portion of it's malted rye, and then a portion's non-malted. All that's all well and good. We'll see what this brings to the table. So this is the 2019 batch. So it's 19. The batch number is 19K14. It is 46% ABV or 92 proof. And as a special treat, we have the 2020 and the 2021 versions also to review. Those will be the next video, so stay tuned for those. As an aside, I picked this bottle up at 2nd Street Liquor in Casper, Wyoming. I bought this bottle at 2nd Street and these two bottles at the Liquor Shed, so a different store. I paid $59.90 for a 2019 bottle. So whether it's good or not, that the price is irrelevant to that. It's how rare is it, right? So a 2019 is going to be more difficult to come by in general than say a 2020 that was just released, depending on bottles and whatever. So the older it is, at least the older the bottle is, not necessarily the distillate, but the older the bottle is, the more difficult it's going to be to find. So, paid $6 different in the same town. Did I get taken? I don't know. We'll find out. But let's get into this bottle. Like I said, $59.90, Casper, Wyoming. It is a 2019 Rendezvous Rye. Now, if you've been following this channel for a while, you'll know that I am a rye fan, maybe even a rye fanboy. I've been a rye fan since before it was cool, we'll say. I've probably been drinking. I started with Bulleit like so many other people. If I went to the bar and I had a whiskey, that was my go-to whiskey. Um, and I just sit there and get a double on the rocks. So I started drinking whiskey on the rocks, kind of as my go-to drink. Gosh, for a long time, and then that kind of sent me down the rye path, and I started. That's really how I got into whiskey. A buddy of mine brought a bottle of Pendleton 1910 over one time, and he and I finished the bottle that night, along with a gallon of wine that I was making, some homemade wine. And man, one of the worst hangovers I've ever had, but still one of the better nights I ever had. He and I had a blast, cooked out, made some great food. Before we started drinking, we were shooting our bows, getting tuned up, ready for a Badlands spot and stock mule deer hunt. That was awesome. So a lot of good memories tied to that. But that really started me down the rye path. Was Bulleit, and then the the 1910, and then actually, since we're telling stories, on my phone I found this. So when I lived in Jamestown, North Dakota, which is where I met my buddy, I there was a liquor store there called Cork and Barrel, and it's a great liquor store. So if you are um, a liquor store owner, you might want to heed this. So they did tastings every week of something, whether it was wine or liquor or whiskey or beer, and they would bring in the distributors. And man, it just was a great setup. It was a great communal event every weekend or every week. The community would come in, talk, meet. They might have some food there, whatever, and you get to try a bunch of stuff that you wouldn't normally try. And they did a really good job of bringing in, like, if you were looking for something specific, they were able to bring stuff in. And I don't know who requested it or why, but somebody or somehow they got their hands on, I think, 2, 3, 4 cases of Breakout Premium 8-year rye. And it was not the best stuff, but if you find it on the shelves right now, you're going to see that it's like 40 something dollars, right? Now, mind you, this is 15 years ago. Well, that's not true. It was 10, 11 years ago. So I misspoke. So it was like 40 something dollars, and they couldn't sell that stuff to save their life. And I, like, number one, rye wasn't as popular as it is now, even less so. And number two, like, I was one of the only rye drinkers in town, from what I could gather. I actually got one of the bars to buy a case of rye, a Bulleit specifically, and I was the one that pretty much drank most of that case over the course of the next year or two. So anyways, they had these cases and they couldn't get rid of it. It was, like, and they were a pretty reasonably priced liquor store. So I want to say it was like in the upper 30s, maybe low 40s when they originally priced it, because they couldn't get rid of it. I remember picking it up for, like, I want to say it was like $14. And at the time, Bulleit Rye was like $24. So I was like, $14. Heck yeah. I grabbed it, man. I bought 4 or 5 bottles of that stuff, and that was like my go-to. It was not that great. I would like to try it again now, because two things, maybe the distillate changed, but also my ability to taste flavors and how I drink stuff. Now I drink it neat. All those things may have impacted what I think of it now. So I might have more to say about it than I did back then. But back then it was pretty darn good. It wasn't great, but it was good, and especially at $14, you can't pass that up compared to now, this $60 I paid for that. So, okay, all of that long way of saying Rendezvous Rye. Here we go. High West, over in Utah, and that very first nosing that I just got out of it was like classic MGP Sweet, candy sweet, eucalyptus, very floral over the top, apple, green apple. I mean, if you picked up a bottle of Bulleit or any other MGP rye, the nose on this smells exactly as you would think. Now, I do not know if this particular bottle, I don't know when High West's own distillate started getting added into their whiskey. The 2021 bottling is when they redid the bottle and the label and everything, so maybe 2021. I don't know, and it doesn't specifically say on the website, at least at first glance. I didn't get into it a whole lot to really try and hunt it down, because as you know, I don't tend to do the research on this stuff too much because every other channel does that. This is just, here's the whiskey, here's the nosing, tasting notes, but that is just classic MGP, sweet, floral, rye. Not really getting much for like black licorice, anise, anything like that. But that eucalyptus, sweet, floral, sour apple, green apple, definitely there. Now on the taste, it was a little bland up front, a little watery thin. But then it had a hard, nondescript, hard candy sweetness forward. Then came the rye spice bite, an ethanol bite, a little bit of that floral and sweetness picked up in the middle, and then it finished with a heavy black pepper rye spice in there. And the ethanol kind of hit me pretty hard right in the middle of that, kind of dominated some of that palate. It was very watery thin. It was very quick. It was only like 2-3 seconds, and then it just dropped off my tongue. And the only lingering flavor was kind of that rye spice, black pepper spice on the tongue. And what that did is it kind of sucked a lot of the nose out of the glass. I'm getting a little bit of graham cracker now. And that same floral note, but not a whole lot else. Let's try the taste again, because I was not. It's been a while since I tried this, and I was not expecting the flavor profile to go that quick. So I was expecting to be able to talk about it a little bit more, but it was just boom, 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 and gone. So try it again. Number 2. A little bit of rice spice forward, hard candy sweetness in there, a little bit of floral, but that black pepper / rye spice picked up like 3/4 of the way the mid palate, and that kind of finished with a little bit of underlaying sweetness. So what I have to say is the 2019, it's kind of ethanol-y, a little bit burny. You get a little bit more proof than your standard. I don't know why they pick 45% for rye, but for some reason 45% is kind of your standard rye profile. So here you're at 46, but this is very nondescript as far as a rye whiskey goes. This is just as much or as similar as any MGP rye whiskey out there that I think you can find. Nothing's really standing out about it. It's good. The nose, that time I got a little bit of a sweet jammy quality to it, like a red fruit jam, but the rye spice is really picking up along with a rye grain in there, which is kind of nice. So it is changing a little bit as the flavor profile goes on, but those first couple sips were just solid MGP classic, what most people think of as rye, even though there's a lot of variety in flavors that you can get, because most of the rye on the shelf is an MGP product. Most people are most familiar, and I'm using the word most way too much, with that flavor profile, and that is what you're going to find in the 2019 Rendezvous Rye from High West. Although I am getting some graham cracker in there now, and I do like that. So there you go. Check that out. If any of those things interest you, drop in the comments down below what you can find If you can find the 2019 High West Rendezvous Rye in your area, what you can find it for, along with any of the other Rendezvous. Do you have any experience with the Rendezvous Rye and what your thoughts are? I'd love to hear from you. So go ahead, drop in the comments down below any of those things. Also, think about liking, subscribing. I'll soon be uploading videos here to Rumble, so check us out on Rumble, Life and Whiskey. Otherwise, BitChute and Minds, Life and Whiskey there. Mine's is life_and_whiskey. And if you're watching this on YouTube, just make note that you can get most of the videos two times a week on all the other channels. Only on YouTube am I putting just one video up a week. So if you want to look ahead and see what's coming, go check out BitChute, Rumble, Minds, and see what Life and Whiskey has to offer. So, as always, thanks for watching. I greatly appreciate it. I know I chit-chatted about a bunch of stuff on this video. The next Rendezvous, the 2020, will be more into the review, probably be a little bit shorter in length. So, as always, thanks for watching. Have yourselves a great day, and we'll catch you in the next video.